The waitress froze as the smell hit first. A ragged man standing at the diner door, eyes hollow yet strangely calm, whispering for food while every customer slowly turned to stare in silence. Her fingers tightened around the tray, heart racing as people began to laugh under their breath, some covering noses, others pulling out phones, turning his pain into something cheap and cruel. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments what time is it and where are you watching from. Let's start. She looked at him again, expecting anger or desperation, but there was none. Just a quiet patience in his eyes, like he was waiting for something far bigger than just a meal. The manager's voice snapped from behind, cold and sharp, telling her not to serve people like that, warning her customers would leave if she made the wrong choice in front of everyone. Her chest tightened with guilt as the man slowly walked to a corner seat, sitting down without a word, as if rejection was something he had already learned to live with long ago. But something didn't feel right. Why did this broken man sit with such dignity, like he belonged somewhere far more important than this small, noisy diner? A young couple nearby began whispering, mocking him, while an older man shook his head in disgust, and still the stranger didn't react, didn't move, didn't even look hurt. She stepped closer, hesitating, tray trembling slightly, caught between fear of losing her job and the unbearable weight of ignoring someone who clearly needed help. But just as she was about to speak, the diner door suddenly opened again, and everything was about to change in a way no one inside could have ever imagined. The door swung open with a sharp sound, and a tall, sharply dressed young man stepped inside, his expensive suit catching every eye as the entire diner slowly fell into an uneasy silence. His presence felt different, powerful, like he didn't belong in this small place. Yet his eyes moved quickly across the room, searching, desperate, almost like he had lost something priceless. The waitress paused mid-step, confused, watching as he ignored every table, every stare, walking straight past the counter as if he already knew exactly where he needed to go. But then he stopped, right in front of the homeless man. A deep silence spread across the diner as everyone leaned in, expecting anger, maybe even security being called, but instead the young man's face softened in a way no one expected. The waitress felt her breath catch as the man slowly spoke, voice trembling slightly. "Dad, I've been looking for you everywhere." And suddenly the entire room seemed to freeze in shock. The mocking whispers died instantly, replaced by stunned silence, as every single person tried to process what they had just heard. Was this really his father? The homeless man looked up slowly, eyes meeting his son's, and for the first time that quiet calm cracked, revealing a deep, hidden pain no one had noticed before. Tears filled the young billionaire's eyes as he dropped to his knees beside him, not caring about the crowd, not caring about his image, only caring about the man everyone else had just ignored. And in that moment, the waitress realized something that sent chills down her spine. She had almost turned away, someone who meant everything to the most powerful man in the room. The waitress felt her hands go numb as the tray slipped slightly, her mind racing, trying to understand how the man everyone mocked was suddenly the father of someone so powerful. A heavy silence filled the diner, broken only by the billionaire's shaky breath as he held the old man's shoulders, as if afraid he might disappear again at any second. The homeless man's eyes glistened, but instead of joy, there was hesitation, like he wasn't sure if he deserved this moment or if it would be taken away again. The young man whispered softly, voice cracking, asking why he left, why he vanished without a word, leaving behind a life, a family, and a son who never stopped searching. The customers who once laughed now avoided eye contact, shame creeping across their faces as the truth slowly turned their earlier cruelty into something deeply uncomfortable. The waitress stepped closer, heart pounding, guilt rising inside her chest as she realized she had listened to fear instead of compassion just moments ago. But then something unexpected happened. The old man gently pushed his son's hands away, not with anger, but with a quiet sadness that confused everyone watching. He looked around the diner, at the faces that judged him, then back at his son, and said something so calm, yet so heavy, it made the room feel even colder. "I didn't leave because I wanted to. I left because I thought you deserved a better life without me." His voice steady, but carrying years of silent suffering. And just when it felt like the truth was finally unfolding, the waitress noticed something strange in his words that didn't fully add up, and a deeper mystery began to form. The billionaire's face tightened in confusion, his voice rising slightly as he asked what that meant, why a father would choose to disappear instead of fighting for his own family. The old man lowered his gaze, fingers trembling on the table, as if the truth he carried was heavier than anything this room could understand or accept in a single moment. The waitress stood frozen, heart pounding harder, sensing this wasn't just a reunion. Something deeper, darker was hidden beneath his calm words and silent years of absence. A customer quietly stood up and left, unable to face the tension anymore, while others leaned closer, drawn into a story that had suddenly become impossible to ignore. The old man finally spoke again, revealing he had lost everything in a single night, a mistake that cost him his dignity, his home, and the right to stand beside his own son. But he didn't explain the mistake. That silence hit harder than any words, leaving everyone wondering what could be so terrible that a man would choose years of suffering over facing his own child. The billionaire's eyes filled with pain, his voice breaking as he insisted nothing could ever justify leaving, nothing could replace the years they had lost together. The waitress felt tears sting her eyes, realizing how quickly people judge without knowing the battles someone has fought in silence, battles that never show on the surface. But just as emotions reached their peak, the diner door opened again, and this time the person who walked in carried a truth that could shatter everything they believed. The door creaked open slowly, and a middle-aged man in a dark coat stepped inside, his sharp eyes scanning the room until they locked onto the homeless man with a strange intensity. The billionaire turned, irritation flashing across his face, but it quickly shifted into confusion as the newcomer walked closer, holding a small worn envelope tightly in his hand. The waitress felt a chill run down her spine, sensing something was about to unfold that would change everything they thought they understood about this broken father and his past. The man stopped at the table, his voice calm but firm, saying he had been searching for years too, not for the son, but for the truth the old man had been hiding. A murmur spread across the diner as the homeless man's face tensed, his calm finally breaking. eyes flickering with fear. For the very first time since he walked in, the billionaire stood up slowly, protective now, demanding to know who this stranger was and why he was speaking like he knew something about his father's disappearance. The man sighed deeply, then placed the envelope on the table, revealing it had never been opened, and whispered that inside it was the reason everything fell apart. The waitress leaned closer without realizing, heart racing, as the old man stared at the envelope like it carried a past he had tried to bury forever. But instead of reaching for it, he pulled his hand back, shaking his head as if opening it would destroy the only piece he had left after all these years. And in that moment, one question burned in every mind inside that diner. What truth could be so powerful that even now he was too afraid to face it? The billionaire grabbed the envelope without hesitation, his hands shaking as years of unanswered questions burned inside him, demanding the truth that had been hidden for far too long. The old man whispered, "Don't," his voice fragile, almost breaking, but it was too late. The seal tore open, and the silence in the diner turned heavy, suffocating every breath. The waitress leaned in unconsciously, heart pounding louder than ever, as the billionaire unfolded the paper slowly, his eyes scanning each word like his world depended on it. At first, confusion crossed his face, then shock, and then something far worse, something that made his grip tighten as if the paper itself had betrayed him. He looked up at the stranger, voice trembling, asking if this was real, if this letter truly explained everything his father had kept hidden all these painful years. The man nodded quietly, revealing that the night his father disappeared, it wasn't a mistake. It was a sacrifice no one ever knew about, not even his own son. The room fell into stunned silence again as the billionaire's breathing grew heavier, his eyes filling with tears that refused to fall, caught between anger and unbearable regret. The waitress felt her chest ache, realizing the story was far deeper than abandonment. This was about a choice that destroyed one life to protect another. But then the billionaire read one final line, and suddenly his expression changed completely, as if the truth was even darker than anyone had imagined. And just when it seemed everything was finally clear, he slowly turned toward his father and asked a question that made the entire diner freeze in fear. The billionaire's voice trembled as he asked the question no one expected. Was it really you? Or were you protecting someone else that night? And the entire diner went silent again. The old man closed his eyes slowly, pain crossing his face, as if this was the one truth he had hoped would never come out, the one secret that could destroy everything. The stranger stepped forward, unable to stay quiet anymore, revealing that the accident that ruined everything had another name tied to it, one that changed the entire story. The waitress felt her heart drop as she saw the billionaire's expression shift from confusion to fear, like he already knew what was about to be said but wasn't ready to hear it. The old man finally spoke, voice breaking for the first time, admitting that he took the blame for someone else, someone he loved more than his own life. A gasp spread across the diner as people leaned in closer, realizing this wasn't just a story of loss. It was a story of sacrifice so deep it erased a man's entire identity. The billionaire staggered back slightly, his mind racing, trying to connect the truth, trying to understand who his father would destroy himself to protect. for so many years. Then the stranger revealed the final piece. The person responsible for that night was standing in this very diner, hearing every single word. The waitress froze, her breath caught, as the billionaire slowly turned around, his eyes scanning the room filled with guilty faces and hidden truths. And in that terrifying silence, one person's trembling reaction gave everything away, and the truth was about to explode in the most unexpected way. The billionaire's eyes locked onto a trembling figure near the counter, and in that frozen second, the truth hit harder than anything. It wasn't a stranger, it was someone from his own past. The waitress felt her knees weaken as the man stepped forward slowly, unable to hide anymore, his face pale, guilt written across every line like a secret finally breaking free. The old man lowered his head, tears falling silently, as if this was the moment he had feared for years, the moment his sacrifice would no longer stay hidden. The man confessed with a shaking voice that he was the one responsible for the accident, and the father had taken the blame to protect him from prison and a destroyed life. A wave of shock swept the diner as whispers turned into stunned silence again, everyone realizing the homeless man they mocked had once given up everything for someone else's future. The billionaire's eyes filled with tears as anger, pain, and guilt collided inside him, realizing his father didn't abandon him. He sacrificed his entire life out of love. The waitress covered her mouth, overwhelmed, her earlier hesitation now feeling like a heavy regret she would carry long after this moment ended. The billionaire slowly walked back to his father, dropping to his knees once more, this time not in shock, but in deep respect for a love so powerful it changed everything. Outside, the luxury car still waited, but inside that diner, something far more valuable had been restored. A broken bond finally healed after years of silent suffering. The story ends here, but the mystery lives on. Like, subscribe, and return for the next unforgettable journey.